Psalm 55 is a lamentation attributed to David, expressing his distress over the betrayal of a close friend. The psalmist begins by calling out to God for help, asking him to listen to his prayer and not remain silent. He describes his anguish and fear, overwhelmed by the threats and violence of his enemies. The psalmist reflects on the pain of betrayal, lamenting the treachery of his friend who had once been close to him. He describes the anguish of his heart and the horror of his thoughts, longing to escape from the turmoil and strife. Despite his distress, the psalmist affirms his trust in God's deliverance and promises to seek refuge in Him. In the midst of his anguish, the psalmist expresses his desire to flee from his troubles and find rest in the wilderness. He longs to escape the turmoil of the city and to be far away from the strife and contention. The psalmist resolves to trust in God's protection and to cast his burdens upon Him. The psalm concludes with a declaration of trust in God's faithfulness. The psalmist affirms his belief that God will sustain him and grant him victory over his enemies. He resolves to continue trusting in God's unfailing love and to offer sacrifices of thanksgiving and praise to Him. Psalm 55 serves as a poignant expression of trust and dependence on God's mercy and grace in times of trouble. Let's now read Psalms chapter 55. To the chief musician on Negioth, Maskil, a psalm of David, give ear to my prayer, O God, and hide not thyself from my supplication. Attend unto me, and hear me, I mourn in my complaint, and make a noise. Because of the voice of the enemy, because of the oppression of the wicked, for they cast iniquity upon me, and in wrath they hate me. My heart is sore pained within me, and the terrors of death are fallen upon me. Fearfulness and trembling are come upon me, and horror hath overwhelmed me. And I said, Oh, that I had wings like a dove! For then would I fly away, and be at rest. Lo, then would I wander far off, and remain in the wilderness. Selah. I would hasten my escape from the windy storm and tempest. Destroy, O Lord, and divide their tongues, for I have seen violence and strife in the city. Day and night they go about it upon the walls thereof, mischief also and sorrow are in the midst of it. Wickedness is in the midst thereof, deceit and guile depart not from her streets. For it was not an enemy that reproached me, then I could have borne it, neither was it he that hated me that did magnify himself against me, then I would have hid myself from him. But it was thou, a man mine equal, my guide, and mine acquaintance. We took sweet counsel together, and walked unto the house of God in company. Let death seize upon them, and let them go down quick into hell, for wickedness is in their dwellings, and among them. As for me, I will call upon God, and the Lord shall save me. Evening, and morning, and at noon, will I pray, and cry aloud, and He shall hear my voice. He hath delivered my soul in peace from the battle that was against me, for there were many with me. God shall hear, and afflict them, even he that abideth of old. Selah. Because they have no changes, therefore they fear not God. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him, he hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart, his words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and He shall sustain thee, He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. But thou, O God, shalt bring them down into the pit of destruction. Bloody and deceitful men shall not live out half their days, but I will trust in thee. This ends our reading of Psalms chapter 55.